One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. Glad to have Davidson AD Jim Murphy on One Question today. Jim, let's jump right in. In your all's 2015 Playing to Win athletic strategy document, word for word, it defines being, quote, committed to investing in the professional development of our coaches as part of athletics done right. So given that aim, I'm curious how you guys approach this topic with each and every one of your head coaches and assistant coaches on an annual basis as it pertains to professional development of their careers.
Well, Matt, we have to accept the fact that we're going to be bringing in some young coaches, sometimes without a lot of experience, and at the same time, we're going to be relying upon our coaches to bring in raw athletes and make them better. So it just makes sense that we need to make sure that we're giving our coaches the professional development they need. And it's going to be different with different coaches. We sat down and talked with our coaches a couple of years ago and said, let's identify a mentor, someone either in your business, in your sport, that you would like to create a relationship with, and maybe we can help with that. And I had a few responses of individuals that said, I've keep hearing about this person in our business. I'd really like to meet them. And we made some effort to set that up. And sometimes that worked, sometimes it didn't. Other coaches are going to be less or more reluctant, I think, to do something like that. And we're going to have to bring in some speakers and some programs and really things that might educate our students as well as our coaches and our staff. And I think we've had some real success in bringing in very focused speakers to talk to our staff and our coaches. And they might be coming to talk about preparation for competition. They might talk about sexual assault, really looking at the kind of the hot topics in our business today. Obviously, nutrition is going to be something that is popular. A sports psychologist, everybody's got one on staff, it seems like, but we bring them in and they can talk to our coaches about how to teach the millennial psyche. Sometimes that's a different kind of thing to grasp. Leadership consultants, we're working with one now that I think has helped us make some stride forward about competition and preparation and things like that. Mentoring is such a hot topic. At the same time, it's a real thing, and we need our coaches thinking about that as well. Who are their mentors, and at the same time, who are they mentoring? We just feel like we're asking our coaches and our staff to do an awful lot in terms of teaching and learning, and it's important that that be extended for them, not just with the relationship between the coach and the student.
The framework of identifying a potential peer or mentor within a certain sport or understanding the individual needs of a coach, does that fall within your structure to the sport facilitator, or is there somebody centralized internally that kind of handles that process for everyone?
Now, we really have a very small staff, so I start the discussion with my assistant and associate athletic directors and with coaches in the room and talk about the importance of that professional development. And a lot of our coaches are going to the Coaches Association meetings each year and getting some level of development at those meetings. It varies. Another one of those things that varies between sports. But we want to involve the coach in directing us to help them put together a mentoring relationship. Finding someone that they would just like to have a conversation with. We may have a contact already. So those discussions start at the top, and it's kind of a free-form discussion about, okay, who would be exciting for some of our coaches to hear from or to talk to.
And is that commonly when you have those conversations in prep work of bringing somebody in, do you find yourself talking more to your peers, feedback from your coaches, or maybe it's context on the university side that say, hey, Jim, you may want to think about this person to come talk to your staff? Where does that fall kind of when you invite somebody in?
It's pretty amazing. Once you kind of let people know that you're interested in bringing an expert, quote unquote, in to talk to our staff and sometimes our students, it's amazing how many people say, I heard somebody at a meeting this summer that was really good, and I'll look up that person's name, and it might be somebody you want to contact. The topic of the day right now, with sexual assault and everything that goes with that. It's a very hot topic and something that we need to get in front of our students, to get in front of our staffs to talk about. That came from a football assistant coach who had heard a tremendous speaker and said, this woman is really good and it might be worthwhile bringing her to Davidson. So it's not hard to find talented people that want to come. Obviously, we check places they've been, look at their references, talk to people who have heard them speak, and talked about the impact that they had. Was it something that was really important? And do they have an impact, or was it just another story that we've heard too many times? And so we're looking for something unique to some degree, at least unique to our campus that we haven't had before. And there's always 3 or 4 topics that our students and our faculty and staff are interested in hearing about. And so it's not hard to find experts.
Do you approach the topic of professional development any differently with your own staff? And you mentioned you have a generally a small staff, but is there any additional points of consideration that kind of go into your decision-making framework when you think about progressing the skill set or the perspective of those under you on the organizational chart?
No, it's really the same discussion, the same analysis that takes place. I encourage my staff, just like I encourage my coaches, to prioritize professional development, in their summer plans, or if they're going to different meetings, try to go at least to one program where they feel like they can walk away with something that they've learned. And I really talk a lot about networking. I ask that a number of our staff go to NACTA and some meetings like that where they're going to meet a lot of people and can do some effective networking and learn some things in the programming as well. So I do feel like that from a staff standpoint, there's a lot of opportunity for professional development, and you have to dig a little bit harder for the coaches to find worthwhile professional development.
Another item that's been on the wire lately from Davidson is a couple of weeks ago, you had roughly 100 students who sat out at a baseball practice in silence protesting an alleged sexual battery incident involving one of your baseball student athletes. And we're not going to get into the details of the actual case. It's not something you can do, or maybe you don't even know them. But I'm curious how you addressed your own staff on the potential of students sitting at practice and how that should be handled, if at all.
Again, Davidson is a small, comfortable place where people can talk to each other, I feel like, on a regular basis. And so when the discussion turned to a protest, and while I can't go into the details, when it turned to a protest, I just made sure that we kept the conversation stream open and encouraged everybody involved just to understand that just because we couldn't talk about something didn't mean we weren't doing anything. And ultimately, I think everybody understood that, and it started to quiet down. I'm encouraged by the fact that our students took very seriously an alleged problem and stepped forward and were willing to take some time and protest what they thought was going on. I'm encouraged by that. I think that's a good thing. It was our job just to make sure that all questions were answered to the best of our ability.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.